Helping people. Helping people. Helping people. It is so good to see everyone here today. Please give Community Action a round of applause. My name is Dalitso Solomoyo, and I'm the National Community Action Partnership Chair of the Board. On behalf of the National Community Action Partnerships Board of Directors and staff, welcome to the 2022 Annual Convention. For those of you who are here in person, I hope that you will take time to enjoy the beautiful historic sites and famous attractions of New York City. And for those of you who are attending virtually, I am confident that you will be pleased with the incredible program we have put together for you. In the spirit of this year's theme, Leadership for Today's Challenges and Tomorrow's Solutions, we are excited to offer a program that addresses the most pressing issues of our network. From the COVID-19 recovery efforts to equity-centered solutions against poverty, along with a wealth of first-class trainings to both equip established leaders and develop the kind of emerging leaders that can guide community action for years and decades to come. I couldn't be more excited about the keynote speakers we'll be welcoming to this conference. We are honored to have Rashad Robinson with us, and he will also be here during Wednesday's morning plenary. Rashad's work as president of Color of Change is instrumental in the fight for racial justice. We'll also be welcoming Elizabeth Yampier, co-chair of Climate Justice Alliance and executive director of UPROSE. Lastly, I just want to thank you all for joining us. It is our commitment to the promise of community action that inspires us at the National Community Action Partnership in the work that we all do every day. At this time, I'd like to do the land acknowledgement. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this movement. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope for a better life. And some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this Community Action Convention by acknowledging what has been buried by honoring the truth. In several countries around the world and among tribal nations in the United States, it is commonplace, even policy, to open events and gatherings by acknowledging the traditional indigenous inhabitants of that land. For more than 500 years, Native communities across the Americas have demonstrated resilience and resistance in the face of violent efforts to separate them from their land, culture, and each other. They remain at the forefront of movements to protect Mother Earth and the life it sustains. Today, corporate motivations and governmental policy push agendas to extract wealth from the earth, degrading sacred land in blatant disregard of treaty rights. Acknowledgement is critical public intervention and a necessary step toward honoring Native communities and enacting a much larger project of decolonization and liberation. I would like to acknowledge that this National Community Action Partnership Annual Convention is being held on the traditional lands of the Munsee Lenape people, and pay my respects to elders, both past and present, who have stewarded this land throughout generations. At this time, I'd like to ask you to please rise for the singing of the national anthem by Chantel Williams, followed by the Black National Anthem by the Conscientious Musical Review.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hi, everybody. Oh, those look good. I am Valencia Emmanuel, and we are honored to have received funding from the Department of Youth and Community since fiscal year 1990. So we want to thank Mike Bobbitt, and there's a new commissioner. I forgot his name, so hopefully he won't be mad at me. So, and we also want to thank you all for hosting us. He just got in. I know he's in Alpha. I know he's in Alpha.
That would be Commissioner Howard.
Commissioner Howard. I know he's in Alpha. Ooh, is he here? We were supposed to see you Monday. Yay! See, I knew you were in Alpha. You're in Alpha too? I like the Alphas. They're always cute. Y'all married? Okay, better not go there. Anyway, we would like everybody is standing. We are honored to sing the Negro Anthem. And yes, we are reading it because somebody may put us on YouTube where we messed up the words. So if you know it, Derek's going to pick a key, and we are going to, I know the Alpha's going to sing. He can share the mic with him. Derek, pick a key.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song for full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your day. And welcome to our great city. Uh-oh. Thank you so much.
Another round of applause, please, for Chantel Williams and the Conscientious Musical Review. At this time, I'd like to invite Rabbi Moshe Weiner to offer invocation. Rabbi Weiner has served as the executive director of the Jewish Community Council of Greater Coney Island since 1981. The Jewish Community Council of Greater Coney Island has grown from one local program, specific CSPG contract, to a citywide provider of a wide array of social services reaching all segments of the population. Of note, the organization's Community Support Systems division includes its highly acclaimed anti-gun violence initiatives. For 20 years, Rabbi Weiner has also served as executive director of the Shorefront Jewish Community Council in the Brighton Beach community, where he currently serves as the executive consultant. Rabbi Weiner is a member of New York City's Aging Advisory Council, and he was appointed to by several successive mayoral administrations. Please welcome Rabbi Moshe Weiner.
Thanks for the introduction. Good morning. On behalf of the Board of Directors, staff, and clients of the Jewish Community Council of Greater Coney Island, a community-based organization with a citywide scope, I join and welcome you and praying for the success of this year's Community Action Partnership Annual Convention. I join you in expressing appreciation and gratitude to this convention's year's host, the New York City Department of Youth and Community Development. Under the blessed leadership of Mayor Eric L. Adams, DYCD's new visionary commissioner, Keith S. Howard, and Deputy Commissioner for Community Development, Mike Bobbitt. By divine providence, we find ourselves in the Hebrew month of Elul, a period of spiritual introspection and stock-taking in preparation for the high holy days of judgment of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It is fitting that we all utilize this auspicious time to reassess and evaluate and seek ways of upgrading and re-energizing our efforts to fulfill our divine mission to promote goodness and kindness and positive transformation of our world, our society, and our communities. It is an emotionally charged experience for me to be standing before you, individuals who have dedicated your careers to implement and support the Community Action Program. 41 years ago, when I was in my late 20s, I arrived at Jewish Community Council of Greater Coney Island when the entire agency was located in a large closet in the local Y, and its total resources being nothing more than a set of incorporation papers and a newly awarded senior services contract funded through New York City's Community Action Program Agency, which was known at the time as the Community Development Agency. As a Community Action Program success story, that grant, that original contract, served as the foundation, seed money, and leverage for what grew to be and what is now a citywide social service agency with over 40 service sites throughout New York City's 5 boroughs, staffed by over 350 professionals serving all segments of the population with a wide spectrum of diverse social and human service programs, plus a capacity-building technical assistance division, which has helped more than 2,500 community-based organizations to do good better. My gratitude to the Community Action Program and the Department of Youth and Community Development is thus immense and profound. We pray that this convention will strengthen our resolve and sharpen our skills to embody our nation's spirit of hope through providing life-changing services that create pathways to opportunity and prosperity and make America a better place to live. We pray for the success in our mission to ensure that America continues to be a nation that provides opportunities for all people to thrive, build strong, resilient communities, and ensure a more equitable society. We pray for positive outcomes of our endeavors to effectively address the causes and conditions of poverty, in providing adequate resources and the opportunities necessary so that everyone can reach their fullest potential. We pray for substantial progress in our efforts to help people help themselves and help each other. We pray that our organizations will succeed in achieving increased self-sufficiency, improved living conditions, ownership of and pride in our communities, and strong family and support systems. We pray for the reauthorization of the Community Services Block Grant, and that our legislators will increasingly recognize and appreciate how CSBG allows community action agencies to design and implement anti-poverty programs tailored to an individual community's needs, with a focus on housing, health, employment, income, and civic engagement outcomes. May this August convocation achieve its objectives and goals. Paraphrasing the words of the prophet Isaiah, each one shall aid his fellow, and to his brother he shall say, strengthen yourself. As we jointly realize the successful positive impact of the Community Services Block Grant and its community action programs in achieving victory in the war of poverty. And let us say amen.
Thank you again, Rabbi, for that invocation. At this time, I'd like to lead us in the recitation of the promise of community action. Community action changes people's lives, embodies the spirit of hope, improves communities, and makes America a better place to live. We care about the entire community, and we are dedicated to helping people help themselves and each other. Before I introduce our illustrious CEO, Denise Harlow, I would like to introduce the Board of Directors for the National Community Action Partnership. I am going to just go in order, and if I call your name, please just wave. Beginning with the first Vice Chair, Rick Baker. Our second Vice Chair, Biz Steinberg. Our third Vice Chair, Brian Duncan. Secretary of the Board and our parliamentarian, Peter Kildee. Our Treasurer, Dreamer Pageant. And now with our regions, starting with Region 1, Michelle James. Region 2, Amy Turner. Region 3, Edith White. She's not here, but I think she's attending virtually, so please still give her a round of applause. Region 4, Paul Dole. Region 5, Joe Devaney. Region 6, Karen Swenson. Region 7, Senior Bozeman. Region 8, Willis Soderholm. Region 9, Maddie Mendez. And then Region 10, Jay Dorman. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Chief Executive Officer, Denise Harlow.
Good morning. You here for something? Wow. This is a room jam-packed, literally almost to the gills, I believe, with people who are passionate about winning the war on poverty. Thank you so much for traveling here to New York City. We are thrilled to see you. Thank you. Before I go any further, on page 7 of what I believe last night was referred to was the book, so there's a ton of stuff in here. Page 7 lists the names of the staff of the Community Action Partnership. Delitzo gets to introduce me, but I will tell you the lift for this week, all the good stuff that you're going to experience belongs to the team. And our events team is led by Jovita Tolbert. You may not be able to see her up there, but she is up there somewhere. Give her some love. Along with Alex Hessler, and many of you have been emailing Alex. I know that she's back and forth with you. Let's give her some love as well, too. And if you have any issues this week, please don't hesitate to find one of our team members. We're happy to help you. We're here to say yes, and what else do you need? So we will work on that as well. Today we have a long opening, and I know it can be a lot to listen to. You've had your breakfast. Many of you have had your eggs and your bacon, and you're kind of ready maybe for that mid-morning nap, but you cannot have that. And I know we have folks here from Anchorage, Alaska. I'm not sure what body clock time you are on at this moment, so thank you for being here today and this week. But we're going to be given some, we provided some welcomes from a number of our federal partners, a number of our regional partners, all of whom are dedicated, just as you are, every day to fighting the war on poverty. So I just want to make sure that we acknowledge everybody, and then we'll start the ball rolling, right? It's going to be a good week. We're going to hear remarks from Stacy Dean, the Deputy Undersecretary at USDA, Marion McFadden, the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Community Planning at HUD, Sharice Johnson from the Office of Community Services. We're also going to hear from our state and regional colleagues, Manny Rosa, Tejas Reyes Serrano, Maureen Abbott, and of course, Commissioner Howard. We're not going to forget you on this go-around, so we're going to get you. We're going to get you. All right. So, one of the value statements of the partnership resonated with me this morning, and you know, if you've heard me speak, I say oftentimes it's sometimes a different part of the promise, our mission, or our values that resonate. And this morning is that we believe in community action, that this country does have the capacity and the moral obligation to end poverty in America. We can do it. It is a choice. Budgets are moral documents, are they not? How we spend our valuable resources, both locally, at the state and the federal level, those are moral decisions in addition to financial decisions. We can do this in this country, and as I've said before, community action, you win the war on poverty every day, one family at a time. So thank you again for being here. All right. You'll be seeing plenty of me this week, so that's enough for me right now. So our first welcome is being brought to us by USDA. Secretary Vilsack can't be here, but we're so excited to have the Deputy Undersecretary, Stacy Dean. We know that the Secretary and the Deputy Undersecretary, my mouth gets all, you know how that goes, know exactly who Community Action is. They know exactly what you do every day to make sure families have access to healthy food, healthy systems, our rural communities have the attention and dedication and focus that they need. Deputy Undersecretary, thank you so much for being with us here today. I'm going to turn the podium over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Denise, and good morning. Good morning. Come on now, you had that coffee. Good morning. All right, well, thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and it is so wonderful to be here in a room filled of passionate, like-minded, amazing people. Your energy is just really fabulous, and I appreciate all that you are and all that you do. I'm really thrilled to have the opportunity to touch upon USDA's partnership with community action agencies across the country and to update you on some of our work. Today, together, we reach an estimated 1 in 4 Americans with our feeding programs. That's an extraordinary reach. It speaks to our power, but it also speaks to the need for our 15 programs. And at USDA, we absolutely understand that our work is only successful because of thousands, literally thousands upon thousands of state, local, and community-based partners. It's never lost on us that others are actually the ones who deliver the food and meals offered by our programs. And you know, it's more than just that, because that makes it almost sound like a contractual relationship, which in part it is. But after school snacks, summer feeding programs, breastfeeding peer counseling, senior food boxes, nutrition education, job training, just to name a few, are so much more than feeding programs because of how, through your leadership, you bring them to life. You truly bring them to life off of the page of federal regulations and forms and budget documents. So just a few weeks ago, I was visiting a summer feeding site in California, and they had such a great approach to meal delivery. A really tasty lunch was served up out of a food truck at a local park. So lunch was free of charge to the kids, and adults who were also queuing up for this great meal paid a small fee. But just think about this idea of using a food truck to deliver summer meals. The whole idea of lining up for food shifted from being one kind of experience, one that maybe they had to do, to something completely different, which was something special and a line that everyone really wanted to be in. Everyone from the community came out. But that wasn't it all. Right alongside the food truck, a local community group worked with farmers to set up a fresh peach and raspberry tasting. I didn't even know there were different kinds of raspberries, but there are. And there was a raspberry tasting to introduce new foods to the kids. So it wasn't just a feeding site, it was an occasion. It was an event. And the vision and the love and the respect and the delight of that day came from local groups working in partnership across multiple groups to do something special for kids in that neighborhood day in, day out. So this is just one example of why our efforts are so much more successful when we do it together. Our partnership is powerful. And at USDA, we're working to make it even more meaningful because we have to do a better job on our side of being partners to all of you, listening to you, supporting you, valuing your voice, your perspective, and creating more space and more resources so you can do your extraordinary work. So much of this conference is focused on meaningful partnership, and I hope you reflect on how your federal partners can do better, and I hope we have a follow-up and you have a list of instructions for me. I will take that. Now, I want to spend a few minutes giving you some updates on USDA's vision for nutrition security, which is just one of many, many things we're working on and why we're taking that particular direction. So when he first took office, the president challenged the cabinet agencies both to address immediate need, which was significant when he took office and remains obviously very high, and to pave a path for economic recovery that's more equitable and just for all Americans, regardless of their background. So not a small ask, right? Pretty big stuff. And clearly, the COVID-19 public health and economic crisis is bigger than anything we've ever seen in our lifetimes, leaving millions of families around the country struggling to afford food and keep a roof overhead. And Congress has passed several important relief bills that have helped the nation start to heal. However, absolutely more needs to be done to help the many Americans who are barely hanging on. And it's just not enough to return to where we were pre-pandemic. Like, we cannot go back to where we were. We must set our sights on a brighter tomorrow, a stronger, better equipped, more equitable nation. And as the president's charge was to set a vision to build back better. So, of course, we're not out of the woods with respect to hardship, and we will absolutely keep fighting to help families and struggling communities in every way that we can. And I'll just share one example of, I think, a very powerful effort. It's a new program Congress created, and we've been implementing with states and localities, called Pandemic EBT. It has not been perfect, but it has been pretty powerful. One component of Pandemic EBT allows states to issue extra SNAP benefits to eligible households with kids, with school-aged children, during the summer months. So, and it's about $390 per child for just the summer months. So we're about to announce that over 40 states have adopted that program for this summer, and I will not rest until they all do. I just want you to know that. Will not rest. But we're collectively, that's over $13 billion in food assistance to poor children, which is just really amazing. So that's meaningful support to families struggling to meet their food needs right now. And that's an incredible, powerful example for what we need to bring forward to the future. So look, at the same time as we are all, you too, doing all of this work today, we have to look to the future and work to tackle some of the serious systemic problems that are causing food and nutrition insecurity together, and obviously poverty. Millions of Americans are afflicted with food insecurity and diet-related diseases, including heart disease, obesity, and type 2 diabetes, which are some of the leading causes of death and disability in the US. The toll of hunger and these diseases is not distributed equally, disproportionately impacting underserved communities, including communities of color, people living in rural areas, people who are differently abled, LGBTQ+ people, and children. Lack of access to healthy, safe, affordable food contributes to hunger, diet-related disease, and health disparities. This situation is urgent. People are literally dying as a result of these conditions. And at USDA, we do not believe we can wait to act. Given the president's charge, we aren't waiting. So we've integrated improving nutrition security as a core goal in our department's mission, right alongside with tackling food insecurity. Nutrition security to us means having consistent and equitable access to healthy, affordable food. We've prioritized nutrition security because of the pandemic and our administration's goal to advance racial equity. Our approach to nutrition security recognizes the structural barriers and inequities make it hard for many Americans to maintain an active, healthy life. There are truly barriers put in the way. Our efforts will emphasize equity and ensure all Americans have access to the nutrition they need. We'll recognize that structural racism harms health in ways that can be described, measured, and dismantled. For example, disparities in diet-related diseases associated with decades of structural limitations on retail food outlets that sell healthier foods. This is where nutrition security comes in and where USDA and each of you can make a difference. One study has estimated that nearly 2/3 of COVID-19 hospitalizations in the US were related to 4 diet-related chronic conditions. Therefore, promoting nutrition security is a critical ingredient to recovering from COVID-19 pandemic and ensuring racial equity. Of course, this is not a USDA-only commitment. We cannot do it alone. And that's why the president has called on an all-of-government approach to hunger, nutrition, and health. Later this month, on September 28th, the White House will be hosting a conference on hunger, nutrition, and health to address these very issues. And that conference will be the culmination of months of work, listening to input for thousands and thousands and thousands of people across the country. Groups like yours, tribal leaders, food banks, school feeding, and childcare operators, farmers, academics, and more. All of that input is going to roll up into a comprehensive national action plan designed to build a more just, equitable, and inclusive approach to hunger, nutrition, and health. And of course, that begins with eradicating poverty. So just to give you a sense of what's possible, the last conference of this type, held in 1969, launched WIC, the Dietary Guidelines, a massive expansion of school meals, and the National Food Stamp Program, just to name a few things. So no pressure on us to do something pretty amazing. But that plan also took years to implement. And so, the action plan will be the beginning of an effort that will likely take many years. We have a lot to do. And as we embark on this journey, we're inspired by the work of partners who've been tackling hunger, nutrition, and health as an integrated service for years, like Lancaster County, Pennsylvania Community Action Partnership, who realize SNAP benefits can be most effective when recipients know how to spend them effectively. Among their many projects, the CAP runs a SNAP nutrition education class in food pantries across the country. They coach people on using SNAP benefits strategically to stretch food budgets and to plan and prepare healthy meals. Or the San Luis Obispo Community Action Agency's Farm to School grant that's connecting farmers to schools to get more fresh produce into school district meals. The project includes ag education, community support agriculture, which I call a CSA box for families, and rebuilding school gardens. The Community Action Agency is coordinating collaboration across many players to make it all work. So thank goodness for community action agencies and the dedicated individuals who run them, for your inspiration, and who work tirelessly and creatively to make a more just world. We need every one of you. I want you all to know, I set out that we have a big plan, but we aren't waiting to have all of the answers to all of the questions before taking action now. There's a lot we can do right now. So for example, we're working to make our vision actionable by changing our grant making. USDA has numerous grant opportunities focused on a more equitable approach to nutrition security. One new grant, USDA's Reach and Resiliency grants, was developed to strengthen community resilience and give partners in more communities the skills and tools to distribute emergency food. We saw during the worst of COVID that while our emergency food system is quite efficient, we were missing many communities, and there were so many local groups who wanted to be a part of emergency food distribution but didn't have a pathway in. So these new grants were put in place to expand the network and include more amazing local partners. Grants in Arkansas and Michigan for outreach, training, supplies, and equipment are helping community action agencies get food to clients in underserved areas through household delivery and mobile distributions. The Wisconsin Community Action Program is using Reach and Resilience funds to train at least 20 community organizations as new emergency food program outlets in remote, rural, and tribal areas. And a second round of these grants will be out soon, and we'll share details so that interested groups know where to go to be a part of the conversation. And that's just one example. We are working and need to continue to work to rethink our entire grant-making portfolio, to build in support for local groups, as well as integrate your voices into our planning and thinking. We count on you, and our grant making and decision making needs to reflect that, right? It cannot happen to you. You have to tell us what we need to do. So let me leave you with 3 concluding thoughts. First, now is the time to lean in big on big, ambitious goals like hunger and health and climate and poverty and so much more. Food insecurity and diet-related diseases are high and have risen due to the pandemic. They disproportionately impact historically underserved communities, and they are literally killing people. These issues are urgent and demand our attention. Second, hunger and nutrition are not at odds with each other. I would argue a meaningful approach to addressing food insecurity only works when it connects people to delicious, nutritious, quality food, and maybe even an occasional raspberry tasting. And third, and I'm going to repeat myself, we cannot do this alone. We will not do this alone. Thank you so much for your perseverance and commitment. You are truly inspirational, and we are grateful for everything that you do. And I hope this is the beginning of many more conversations. Enjoy the conference. Welcome.
I thought San Luis Obispo was going to jump out of their chair as soon as you mentioned their CAP agency. I saw them down here. All right, thank you. Well, I've made the first mistake of the conference. My sheets were stuck together, and I went in the wrong order. So my apologies, but thank you, Deputy Undersecretary, for stepping up unexpectedly early. So appreciate that. All right, my apologies. Let's get back on track. We have a video welcome from Mayor Eric Adams of the City of New York. Mayor Adams has served the people of the City of New York as a New York PD police officer, a state senator, a Brooklyn Borough president, and is now the 110th mayor of this fine city. He gives voice to a diverse coalition of working families in all 5 boroughs and is leading the fight to bring back New York City's economy, reduce inequality, improve public safety, and build a stronger, healthier city that delivers for all New Yorkers. As our board walked last night through the city to our reception, we had a lovely time to be able to see some of the sights, and I know many of you hopefully can get out of this part of New York City and get out to the 5 boroughs during your week here. So we'll go ahead and play the video. Welcome.
Welcome to New York City and Times Square. We are thrilled that the National Community Action Partnership Convention has selected the Crossroads of the Rural to host its annual convention. NCAP represents 1,000 community action agencies nationwide, including our very own Department of Youth and Community Development. The great work you are doing aligns with my priorities for the city, like bold, upstream solutions to invest in our youth and diverse groups. NCAP and NYC, we can get great things done together. This year, my administration is targeting neighborhoods with the highest needs. We will provide critical services like crime prevention, adult literacy, senior services, and programs for our immigrant communities. We're also talking to New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs to find out what their real needs are, so that when we deliver services and resources, we can be sure they match what communities actually want. I wish you a productive and informative 3 days. And don't forget to take some time to enjoy the after-hours magic we have to offer. Food, entertainment, bars. Welcome again to New York City, the greatest city in the world.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are thrilled to be in the Big Apple, as they say. I'm going to turn the microphone now over to Manny Rosa. Manny Rosa is the state CSBG lead person. I know that the local agencies work with here in the state of New York. Manny has been a great partner to the partnership. We've worked closely with him in his office. And Manny, I'm going to turn the podium over to you.
Buenos días. Voy a hablar en español. No, I'm only kidding. Welcome on behalf of Governor Hochul, Kathy Hochul, our Secretary of State, Robert Rodriguez, who oversees the CSBG program here in New York State. I think our Deputy Secretary for Economic Empowerment, Zoila de Castillo, is in the house. And my many, many colleagues. I know that I have a lot of colleagues that I'm representing from our 47 eligible entities throughout the state. I mean, if you're here, wave, shout, say you're here in the house, okay? We welcome you. We're so proud of the work that they have done. Denise, your leadership is incredible. I don't know what we would do without NCAP, very frankly. I think all of us share in common the mission and the love of serving people, but you take it to the next level. So I just want to let you know, that we appreciate here in New York, you're raising consciousness. Raising consciousness, for those of you who are young, it's a good old 1960s civil rights phrase that I think we need to take to heart. In this room, all of us, perhaps saved lives more than we will ever know. We represent thousands upon thousands, if not millions of people that we touched in the last 2 years during the pandemic, right? And if you weren't around, you talk about first responders, right? Here you are. And you were brave, and you kept your doors open, and you fed people, and you gave people hope. And with the partnership of the federal government and the city, New York State was able to feed so many people and help so many people, keep them in their apartments and in their homes, and the children getting fed. So on behalf of the state of New York, the office that I represent, my colleagues, I thank you from New York State's point of view and a national point of view, because very frankly, you truly are heroes. And I wish sometimes that the press would be in here just to understand, very frankly, not only the important work that you have done, But if the people, and we were just with the Office of Community Services going around to some of our programs, you hear the stories of how little girls going into a Head Start program join the staff of youth development and the CAAs. It's inspiring. It's inspiring. I'm only 21, so I mean, I've got a lot to learn. Why is everybody laughing? I don't understand that. Anyway, Commissioner Keith Howard joined DYCD a couple of months ago. Mike Bobbitt, Deputy Commissioner, love the relationship that we have with DYCD. They are incredible, innovative, forthright, and we look forward, Commissioner Howard, to our continued working relationship. We thank you. Thank Mike Bobbitt, just in case he's there. I have to say that just because I have to work with him. Okay? We have Jackie Orr here, who's our president of the our State Association, wherever she may be. So this morning, we celebrate community action, and understand that that word action means an awful lot, very frankly. It means compassion, yes. It means caring, of course, but it means being there. And if anything, we come together to celebrate, to learn from one another. You come to the great state of New York, and we're happy that you're in New York City, but New York State is so much larger in the rural areas, right? We have Maureen Abbott here, Amy Turner, my colleagues. I can't thank them enough for what they do. All my colleagues from Long Island and throughout the state, those who are watching virtually, thank you. Thank you for saving lives, for teaching me, for keeping me accountable. I thank the Office of Community Services for its partnership with us as well. So I wish you well in the next few days. I wish you to remind yourselves and your colleagues not only the important work that we have done, but the important work that remains. Unfortunately, poverty just doesn't go away. And we're reminded that if you take a walk around the city, if you take a walk anywhere, you see people who are in need. People that come to us with a hand out need someone to hold that hand to give them hope. You do that every single day. So I thank you from the New York State Department of State, from New York State, for Community Action. Mr. Bradley, wherever you are, thank you for your incredible leadership and advocacy on the federal level, keeping hope alive for Community Action, for the Community Services Block Grant. And whoever said that the 200%, we need that, just in case. We need that. Keep that alive, right? So thank you. Bienvenidos. I hope that you have a really good, on behalf of everyone, a really good conference and convention, but that you're inspired and that you inspire us at the government level to continue the partnership that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Manny. Great partner in all of this work. Who here was with us in San Juan in 2019, or early 2020? The last of our in-person events before COVID. We are thrilled to have Thais Rayed Serrano, the Executive Director of the Puerto Rico Office of Socioeconomic Development for Communities, ODSEC. I follow them on Facebook, and I just love seeing all the great stuff that's going on across Puerto Rico. It is just fantastic, the great work you do, and as part of Region 2, we're pleased to welcome. Thank you.
Buenos días a todos. Good morning. As a Puerto Rican, I would like to speak Spanish, but today I will speak in English. Good morning. Thank you all to all the organizers of the event for inviting me and giving us the opportunity to meet here in a national event. It gives us the opportunity to meet and exchange impressions and information about what we have lived and worked on in our jurisdictions. Although we must recognize that many things have changed, it must also be said how good it feels to be able to see us in person. There is still no technology that replaces exchange and conversation in person, face to face. As a Latina, I can tell you the importance of this up and close personal exchange of ideas that he has nurtured our culture for generations. And it's precisely our culture that we have taken into consideration when we provide service to our served populations. We work with the elderly population and we collaborate with the new generation of youth. We always keep in mind that those cultural baggage that enrich our relationship with the recipient of service. So today in this morning, como latina, quiero hablar en español en esta oportunidad, en Puerto Rico, como latina, como mujer, como boricua. En Puerto Rico está dirigido la pobreza, la lucha contra la pobreza por mujeres poderosas. Tenemos a Nildo Olmedo a cargo de Acción Social. Tenemos a Laicha Seguinot en INSEC y tenemos a Francine Sánchez en el municipio de San Juan. Puerto Rico está enfocado en erradicar la pobreza. Esa es nuestra misión y vamos a cerrar esa brecha. Así que eso quería dejar ese mensaje bien importante en español. Para mí es importante que reconozcamos nuestra lengua y nuestra diversidad cultural. So, we respectfully tell you, count on us. Our delegation of Puerto Rico is here to help us or help you with all the doubts and questions that you have with the difference of culture for language we have here. We know the difference, we know we're different, but we're the same. Our focus is eliminate the poverty. Thank you all, muchas bendiciones, and enjoy New York. It's my favorite city in the world.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you making the trip as well. A lot of long flights coming here to New York City. Our next welcome is brought to you from Maureen Abbott from Tioga Opportunities. I've known Maureen a long time, so it's a little weird to introduce her. We've known each other a long time. I spent 21 years in upstate New York. I thought the Adirondack chair should have been our logo for this conference, but apparently not. But Maureen, thank you for your leadership of NYSCA, the New York State Community Action Association, and thank you for your friendship.
Thanks, Denise. Good morning, Community Action. On behalf of NYSCA, the New York State Community Action Association, and the 47 community action agencies in New York State, reaching from the shores of Lake Erie in western New York to the Finger Lakes region, from central New York and the southern tier to the Hudson Valley, from the Adirondacks and the Catskills to the Capital Region, and all the way down to Long Island. It is an honor and a privilege to welcome you to the great state of New York and the city that never sleeps. We are at a precipice in this country, teetering on the edge of a very slippery slope, an unknown future that will challenge the very essence of who we are as a network and what we represent. This network must remain strong, committed, and positioned to do whatever is necessary to be the voice for those that have been silenced, a source of strength and support for anyone that has lost hope, and be brave leaders in our communities to make tough decisions and hold our elected officials accountable. If there was ever a time when we needed to be together, it's now. The National Community Action Partnership Conference will not disappoint, and I know you will find these next few days exciting, inspiring, and thought-provoking. Take the time to meet and get to know your fellow community action peers and colleagues from throughout the United States and Puerto Rico. Share experiences, share ideas, challenges, strategies, and the innovative solutions that you have put into place. You may have come to this conference with a few peers from your own agency, but I'll guarantee you that you will go home with a host of new friends and colleagues, along with a renewed spirit to continue the work, face the many challenges, and do what no other national network is equipped to do. Change people's lives, embody the spirit of hope, improve the communities we live in, and make all of America a better place to live. Again, welcome and have a wonderful conference.
Thank you, Maureen. Pleased to introduce our host community action agency here in New York City, the Department of Youth and Community Development, one of the largest public CAPs in the country. We're pleased to welcome Commissioner Keith Howard to the stage.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning. All right. Let's do the New York City way with a lot of energy. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. I want to thank, our distinguished chair, and our distinguished COO, okay? And I just want to say good morning and thank you for partnering with us so that DYCD, the Department of Youth and Community Development, serve as the co-host to this year's conference. But I also want to shout out, and I know everyone's been talking about him, but if Mike is in the room, Mike Bobbitt, could you stand up? Where are you, Mike? Because Mike actually to make it work. I don't see Mike. There you go. All right. So I also want to acknowledge our amazing DYCD team who are wearing orange. So you will see them. So if you're here, please stand up and let the crowd see you. As Mayor Adams pointed out, New York City is the crossroads of the world. The New York City Department of Youth and Community Development is the official community action agency for the city of New York. That designation gives us a unique perspective and responsibility when it comes to making sure there is equity across our city. Our agency mission is to invest in a network of community-based organizations and programs to alleviate the effects of poverty and to provide opportunities for New Yorkers and communities to flourish. So how do we do that? Well, we first make sure that the neighborhoods most in need receive resources to assist low-income individuals and families and help them overcome barriers to achieve self-sufficiency. Our end goal has not changed since the inception of the CSBG funds. The end goal is to end poverty, right? Okay. So I want to tell you my story, and it's going to be short. Juanita Howard, my mother, was a young housewife who lost my dad, her husband, on October 20th, 1971. She raised 6 kids in a small one-bedroom apartment in the South Bronx. My brothers and sisters, we shared clothes and shoes. We ate a syrup sandwich because we had no meat to go along with the sandwich. We lived in a rat-infested CRO where the rats were larger than the cats, and I know you're eating, so I don't want to gross you out. But Juanita Howard was offered the opportunity to train as a medical assistant. When she graduated from the training, she received a job at the VA hospital in the Bronx. She had the opportunity to go to college where she received her associate degree and became a licensed practical nurse. But she didn't stop there. She went on to receive her RN as a registered nurse and graduated from college with honors. Now her son, Keith Howard, stands before you as Commissioner of DYCD. And a byproduct of how a funded training program can change the lives of a family. Okay. Now, we heard from the mayor Mayor Adams, that DYCD is currently assessing the needs of New Yorkers in the communities most in need of service. This year, we launched a robust 2022 Community Needs Assessment Survey, which is available both electronically and on paper. And the goal is to hear directly from the residents in our 41 neighborhood development areas about their concerns and their needs. The data we collect will inform and improve our service deliveries, and it would help us with our strategy to enable us to distribute resources and support the community in an equitable way. For DYCD, this conference is more than just an opportunity to meet our colleagues from around the country. It is a learning opportunity and to understand what best practices are. One of the stories that I wanted to share, and this is the last story, I promise you. New York City is going through a severe issue when it comes to gun violence, and I'm pretty sure most of the other cities as well. So we met with one of our neighborhood community-based organizations, and we met with some of the crisis management system that are out there every day on the street trying to prevent gun violence. We're in a room and we're having conversations. So me, of course, you know, I tell them, hey, we have a lot of investments in this community. In fact, we have an investment with one of our CBO organizations to provide commercial driver license training, CDL training. I said, just imagine that. Those young people who are on the verge of committing violence that can take a training class and get their CDL and then become drivers and a whole assortment of different careers. So I'm talking to, you know, the young men who are out there preventing gun violence, and he said something to me that was, well, it was earth-changing to me. And this is what he said. I said, Commissioner, respectfully, I appreciate the fact that you're offering a CDL training class. But how could you offer a training class when we have a population who cannot read or reading at a 4th grade level, that cannot pass the commercial driver's license test? That was shocking to me. It was an aha moment. So I said, you know, you're absolutely right. So I guess my takeaway and my staff takeaway is we have to go back, adapt, redesign programs that reach the most vulnerable. Because we need to help them and we need to meet them where they're at and then take them to the new level. I want to thank you for the invite. I want to thank you for allowing DYCD to co-host. On behalf of the mayor and his administration, I want you to have fun in New York City. Not too much fun where you're gonna get on the news, okay? And have a productive time. Thank you, God bless you.
Thank you, Commissioner. How many first-timers do we have at this conference? Oh, wow. Woo! I wanted to tie something that the commissioner mentioned that I'm not sure where it filtered in terms of what you're hearing this morning. Sometimes we feel like when we're an individual agency, and as a former CAP employee, right, that's our agency. Every agency, all 1,000, private and public CAPs all across this country, have very similar processes. You all do different things. A community-wide needs assessment is happening in the largest city in the world, just like happens in the smallest community in America as well. Community action is tied. We assess, we plan, we deploy, we collect our data, we analyze. We are a network and infrastructure to fight poverty. I just wanted to tie that thread a little bit to tie exactly what happens in the largest city in the world to the most rural part and frontier part of this country. Thank you. Before we turn it over to our other federal partners, I wanted to give a moment to one of our gold sponsors. We have 4 gold sponsors this year. It's amazing. We so appreciate the support of our corporate vendors and corporate partners. Mutual of America, Whitfley, Amazon Business, and United Healthcare have all come in at the gold level sponsorship. We so appreciate them. And while I invite our new rep, Vice President for National Accounts, Earl Jones, here to the stage, Lisa Lowry will be here. I don't know if she'll have her Huggy Heart shoes on, but she'll be here. If you haven't seen her shoes, you got to see them. They're amazing. But Earl is not wearing, I don't believe, those shoes today. But Lisa will have them. But Earl has been a great partner for us, and we're just going to play the Mutual of America video while he comes to the stage.
No two organizations are exactly alike. So why should they have the same retirement plan? That's why Mutual of America retirement plans are flexible. You can design your plan to meet your employees' needs and help them build a secure future. Customize your investment lineup from a menu of funds we've selected especially for people saving for retirement. Choose from a variety of investment fiduciary options to help you keep your plan in compliance. And select your preferred options for paying the administration and record-keeping fee, while keeping participants engaged and informed. Being able to tailor their plans is one reason all across America, more than 10,000 businesses and nonprofits trust their employees' retirement to Mutual of America. Because in a world that wants options, Mutual of America is the provider of choice.
Good morning, Community Action. How y'all doing? Good, good. Thank you for this opportunity to share, certainly to Denise Harlow and to Board Chair DeLuzzo, as well as the Board of Directors. It feels good to be here, and certainly we are honored to be a gold sponsor, not just this year, but we certainly have a commitment and a partnership for almost 20 years. And I'm really, truly grateful for the privilege of standing before you, certainly to be in my home city, born and raised in Brooklyn and Queens. Thank you. We are certainly grateful for this opportunity to be a partner. We are invested in that, and many of the things that I've heard today is truly inspiring. And in a real sense, what you all are committed to is to helping people. And we are listening to that, and I'm listening and internalizing it. And the critical question for me is, who's helping you? For me, that is our commitment to stand in the gap as you are all on the front lines of helping people, fighting the good fight in very challenging situations. We want to make sure that we are present, showing up when the markets are up, the markets are down. We are navigating the great resignation as you're dealing with the challenges of all the things that you face. We're committed to listening to understand. Nobody knows it all, has it all, but we want to make sure that we're here throughout the country to make sure that we're sitting with you to understand the best ways that we can support. And in a real sense, the last thing is to make deposits of goodwill. And so for me, I'm grateful to just be here. My prayer and hope is that when you see me in the hallway, you won't just pass me, you just say hi, come to our booth, and really give us an opportunity to really make connections and see how best we can support you. For 75 years, we have been supporting nonprofits, providing pension and retirement services. That's the only thing that we do, and we've made significant investments to improve the customer experience, not only just for you as executives, but also for your staff. And so I want to thank you all for this opportunity. Later this afternoon, this evening, we're having a happy hour on the 8th floor. So after all the day's festivities, hang out with us, share a drink, have good conversation.
And we thank you so much for this opportunity. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Earl. I know we're running a little behind. Just keep being aware of that. So we want to make sure we move here into our presentation from Marion McFadden from HUD. Secretary Marcia Fudge knows exactly who Community Action is and from her work in Ohio. Ohio is a great representative of Community Action, and we're thrilled to have the Department of Housing and Urban Development here represented by Marion McFadden, the HUD's Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Community Planning and Development. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, everyone. Hearing we're short on time. Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the members of the board. Very excited to be here today to talk about what we've got going on at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. It is tremendous to see so many of you assembled in one room. Knowing that there are hundreds more joining online is just filling my heart, knowing how many people are working so hard to do the most important work in our country. I head the Office of Community Planning and Development at HUD. It's known as CPD. And our job is to engage with states, localities, and nonprofit organizations all over the country in the deployment of about $10 billion annually. And we have one-off grants that I'll talk about as well. We're charged with cultivating equitable community development. And our programs are many that you've interfaced with, I'm sure, including the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, HOME, the National Housing Trust Fund, the HOPWA program, Housing Opportunities for People with AIDS, and homeless assistance programs. We're providing these resources to underserved communities and to serve the most vulnerable populations that I know you all are working with. And as the severity and intensity of natural disasters has increased over the last 20 years, we've taken on an outsized role in disaster recovery as well. In fact, we've seen almost $100 billion over the last 20 or 25 years for disaster recovery and community resilience. I was impressed with the theme for today's gathering, the leadership for today's challenges and tomorrow's solutions. We have all certainly faced unprecedented challenges over the last several years, particularly because of the global pandemic, the economic crisis, and from my perspective, the ongoing housing crisis, which is fueled by lack of production and preservation of affordable housing and low wages. And those are compounding decades, or in many cases, hundreds of years of injustices. So under the Biden-Harris administration and Secretary Fudge's leadership, HUD is now implementing historic levels of funding received from the American Rescue Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act. And we're taking critical steps toward advancing equity through initiatives like the PAVE Task Force, House America, and the Justice 40 Initiative. Let me start with the PAVE Task Force, because I heard that would be of special interest to you all. As I'm sure you are aware, the racial homeownership gap now is wider than when the Fair Housing Act was enacted more than 50 years ago. Last year, the black homeownership rate reached only 44%, while the white homeownership rate was 74%. Because a home is typically the largest investment an average American makes, this disparity is the biggest driver of the racial wealth gap. And I think we can all agree that is not because of consumer choice. The stories of appraisal discrimination captured national headlines. You may have seen the story of a couple in California in Marin City who received a really low appraisal even after they had made substantial improvements to their home. So they asked a white friend to pose as the homeowner for the purposes of the appraisal. It was just a few weeks after the initial appraisal. It was valued for more than $500,000 more. And research has proved out that that's not just an anecdote. That's part of a very big problem. So President Biden created the Property Assessment and Valuation Equity Task Force as a method to address the nation's and the federal government's own history of discriminatory housing practices and policies, which have been contributing factors to the homeownership gap and undervaluation of properties owned by families of color. The PAVE Task Force, which Secretary Fudge co-chaired, released a final action report with commitments to enhance collaboration and formalize long-term transformational policy solutions at all levels of government. Ongoing work coming out of that task force now includes making the appraisal industry more accountable through enhanced oversight and coordinated enforcement, ensuring that technology-based alternatives to human appraisals don't perpetuate bias, cultivating an appraiser profession that's well-trained and looks like the community served, empowering consumers with information and assistance so they understand the appraisal process, what should happen, and what to do if something is not right, how to report bias. And finally, leveraging data and expertise to inform policy practice and research on appraisal bias. Now that this issue is out in the open, it will be addressed. I mentioned our challenge with lack of housing supply. Estimated shortage is 1.5 million homes nationwide that we are short. So in response, the administration launched the Housing Supply Action Plan. The funding that we have at HUD can be used to build new homes for rent or ownership, for down payment assistance, for rehabilitation or preservation of existing housing, can support low-income homeowners with home repairs or modifications to facilitate aging in place, and adaptive reuse of space, so converting commercial spaces, for example, into affordable housing. Our funding is also providing resources for housing-enabling infrastructure, things like water, sewer, utilities, and broadband improvements. And our block grants, as you all, I'm sure, know, can be used for neighborhood amenities like Head Start programs, for playgrounds, for small businesses, for charter schools, for grocery stores, and other public facilities. And the grants also fund supportive services, including assistance for people who are experiencing homelessness. Food access programs, particularly for seniors, educational programs, job training, and legal and financial assistance. Through the American Rescue Plan, we got $10 billion to address homelessness through housing vouchers and formula grants. These are providing critical resources for affordable housing, supportive services, tenant-based rental assistance, and the development of non-congregate shelter. So building on these historic investments, in September of last year, Secretary Fudge launched the House America Initiative. It's an all-of-government effort to rehouse at least 100,000 people from homelessness and to add at least 20,000 planned units of affordable housing by the end of 2022. Leaders from more than 100 communities across 31 states, territories, and DC answered the Secretary's call, and they've dedicated collectively hundreds of millions in discretionary funds to rehousing and affordable housing development. We've also announced funding to address unsheltered homelessness, which has been rising. We're seeing more people sleeping on the streets and creating encampments. Criminalization of homelessness and encampment sweeps are just moving problems from one place to another, and we need to do better than that for our fellow Americans. We recently published a funding opportunity for $43 million in stability vouchers, working across HUD offices to design programs to meet communities' urgent needs. And they pair with $322 million in funding for unsheltered and rural homelessness that will enable communities to pursue a public health and housing first approach to addressing encampments. I also just wanted to mention that we put out $5 billion for the home ARP program under the American Rescue Plan. Most of that money is still unplanned, meaning that it's up for grabs locally. Citizen engagement is a critical component of all of the programs in my shop at HUD. We are putting robust resources into communities, but what's really special is the flexibility that they bring for communities to make their own choices about how to spend them, but that's on top of the ability for the public to weigh in on where that money needs to go. So each state, city, and county that's receiving community planning and development funding must develop an annual action plan and put it out for public comment, and in most cases do public hearings so that everyone in the community can understand the proposed use of those funds. It also requires them to identify known barriers to affordable housing, and this is a really important opportunity for plugging in and making sure that you're sharing what you have learned in your work to ensure that the funds are being spent in the most beneficial manner. If you're not already doing it, I would encourage you to engage in the process, to identify who is responsible for each of these sources of funds when they're putting out their plans for comment. In fact, don't even wait till they put out their plans for comment. If you're not responsible for administering it, find the person who is and get in their ear about the remaining challenges. There is so much federal money arriving that you want to make sure that you're really articulating at length and with feeling the needs that you see in your own communities. I just wanted to mention a little bit on the disaster recovery front. To foster citizen engagement and equitable recovery, CPD recently published a citizen participation and equitable engagement toolkit for our disaster recovery programs. And in the coming weeks, for the very first time in the history of HUD, we're going to publish a request for information on how we can get more equitable outcomes in the use of our disaster recovery funding. So I mentioned it's been almost $100 billion. Each time we get money, it's a special appropriation from Congress, so it's not a permanently authorized statute with regulations. So the public has never been invited to weigh in on how HUD itself administers the money. So that's something I really wanted to call your attention to. I know many of you come from communities where there have been disasters, and unfortunately many of us live in communities where there will be disasters based on what we know about climate change. So appreciate you taking a look at that. Finally, I just wanted to mention that we published a climate action plan furthering our commitments to equitable recovery, community resilience, and sustainable community development. We're supporting President Biden's Justice 40 initiative to ensure that at least 40% of federal investments flow to disadvantaged communities that are marginalized, underserved, and overburdened by pollution. So again, we can ensure the best, most equitable outcomes if we hear from you. If you're ever in Washington, D.C., please come see us. We love visitors. Tell us how we can better support you. And I look forward to the compendium of things that we can do better, which I believe you've been tasked with. Thank you.
We'll be right over. So much stuff going on in housing and shelter services and everything else in this network. Thank you so much. Dr. Laniqua Howard was unable to be with us this week. She had long planned to be here, but she, at the last minute, was having to cancel due to personal issues. But Sharice Johnson, good friend of Community Action, comes from this network, knows, breathes, lives CSBG, a great partner throughout this CARES work. So Sharice, thanks so much for being with us. We look forward to your remarks.
Good morning, CSBG. Good morning, Community Action. Good morning, change agents. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to say on behalf of the Office of Community Services, the Administration for Children and Families, Health and Human Services, that we are pleased to be here today. Denise has very politely asked me to reduce a few of my comments and hold them off until Friday because we will have a federal update session. But she did give me permission to tell you how I really feel about what's going on in this room today. And for that, I say, thank you, Denise. As I look across the room, I think I'm going to tell, it's not a story, but I'm going to tell you as I look across this room, if I could take a photo of this view and I could share this view with communities and families and agencies, they could see in their communities they have you to support them, to be there for them, to be that household name in your community, a place to go, because you all look fabulous in this room. So I just want to say thank you for showing up. Our leader, Dr. Howard, could not be here. And I'm going to say a word that she said as she talked to me about this session today. She literally said she is devastated that she is not able to be here to join you all. This would have been her first time in an in-person or the Community Action Conference at all. And so she really wants me to share her sentiments that she hates that she could not be here today. But I'm going to do my best to give you some good information today and give you some good information on Friday in regards to what we're doing. And I also would like to acknowledge all of our colleagues and the board in regards to the work that we do together through partnerships. But before I give any federal updates, I first want to take a second to appreciate and highlight you. At OCS, we know that you're doing much to ensure that we are truly serving individuals, families, and communities that need you the most. And I have to ask you to applaud yourself, because without you, we would not be able to make a difference. We also recognize that over the past 2 years, you have provided services and support to individuals, families, and communities through a pandemic. And many of you never closed your doors. For that, you should applaud yourself again. And then we have many states in this room that are dealing with natural disasters, and you're still showing up. Pandemic, natural disasters, that's another place that we need to applaud ourselves. Even though there have been twists and turns over the last few years, we can say with a lot of pride that the Community Action Network has served more than 9.2 million individuals and more than 4.7 million families over the last few years. That includes also serving at least 3.1 million youth and 2 million or more seniors. You are covering the whole family. You're looking at different ways to help to develop youth. You're looking at ways to respond to the impact of poverty, and I say thank you for that. I had the honor to actually participate in some site visits in New York this week. We are not only showing up at conferences as a federal office, we're also going into the communities so that we can learn, we can stay relevant in regards to what's going on in communities, we can talk to beneficiaries. So in New York, we had the honor to be able to participate in a few site visits. And I would like to thank Manny Rosa, who gave a welcome earlier, for his leadership and his ability to organize a group so that we could actually meet the Secretary of State for New York, who is committed to the work that you all do in New York. We also had a wonderful opportunity to meet this guy that was talking a few minutes ago. I think his name was Commissioner Howard, in regard to being one of the largest community action agencies in the state, taking us to their organizations. These agencies welcomed us: Mercy Center in South Bronx, Bronx Works, Forestdale Center, and the Economic Opportunity Commission of Nassau County. We visited those agencies. They welcomed us. We talked to their beneficiaries. We heard about their programs, and I can say that these agencies are doing great work. OCS has several priorities. I'll talk in more depth about them, but one of the priorities is quality services. And I heard someone a few minutes ago talk about the need for home ownership, and that oftentimes there's a racial gap for home ownership. The good news is CSBG, or the Office of Community Services, released an IM called the CSBG IM 163, or Mortgage Payment Assistance. We heard you throughout the pandemic. We need to help families keep their homes. And because of your request, and because of your nudging, and because of your emails, we were able, Dr. Howard, and we were able to move this forward, and we released that IM, giving you guidance on helping families keep their homes and helping families to build wealth. So thank you for your nudging, but we did it. We believe this is a historic moment in CSBG, but we also, when we released that IM, I think in about 17 seconds, Denise Harlow emailed us and said, thank you. So you've got someone right here with you, rooting us on, trying to keep engaged with what's going on in regards to responding to your needs and responding to the needs of families. And for Denise, thank you for that welcome and that thank you. We also want to say that we implemented this year, for the first time, a CSBG Training and Technical Assistance Survey. I'm going to talk more about that on Friday, but what I want to say today is that we received more than 932 responses to the survey. That was outstanding. Thank you. Thank you for responding. Thank you for sharing your feelings, because the training and technical assistance work we do is for you, and we want to make sure that we use the resources that we have, the resources that Congress has given us, to make sure we provide the best training and technical assistance to build the field and to make sure we're staying relevant, implementing best practices, whatever it takes, along with our partners, training and technical assistance partners, to meet your needs so you can meet the needs of the family. But we'll talk a little bit more about that survey on Friday, but no, we're going to release the results, a summary of that survey soon. Another area is lifting the voices from the field. We are learning so much from the beneficiaries of the programs as we do these site visits. That's one of our priorities, to learn from the field, because we believe lifting voices from the field ensures greater equity across the network, as advancing equity is a focal point of ACF, our current administration. How do we make sure that we move beyond equality and we move to equity? So with all of your support, paying attention to the needs of families, your tripartite boards, you help us lift the voices of beneficiaries, and they can tell their story best in regards to what supports they need in order to move beyond the impact of poverty. Also, one of our priorities is breaking down silos. We know that partnerships are important. In the site visits that we participated in this week, we talked about partnerships, we heard about partnerships, but partnerships change lives. We will never have enough resources in CSBG in regards to what we receive to do all of this work. But through partnerships, strategic thinking, we can make a difference, and we ask you and encourage you to continue to do that. Even in the Office of Community Services, we're finding where we're working even closer with LIHEAP, with LIWOP, as a way to make sure we take the resources we have, we blend them, we talk about ways to collaborate so that we can leverage our resources so we can truly wrap around that family, wrap around the whole family. One gentleman we had on I think he was on a panel, he said if a family cannot pay their electric bill, there's something going on. And it's not just the electric bill. So we have to think about partnerships, leveraging and braiding our funding so that we can meet the needs of the whole family. And we know that you're already doing this, but we just want to remind you just a little bit on that. I do want to talk a little bit about the pandemic in regards to the $1 billion that we received. We were trusted with $1 billion, and in January, February, and March, we heard from our training and technical assistance partners, we got to start managing and watching how the spending is going. We want to make sure that we spend out the $1 billion. Is there anyone in the room who doesn't want to spend the $1 billion? Right. We're at 81% because of your efforts to spend the money down. Thank you, Community Action. Now, I must say, over the next 30 days, say it, next 30 days, it is important that you ramp up your spending to meet the needs of families. Families still have needs, and we need you to commit to the next 30 days. If we spend out this $1 billion together and collectively, we will be able to say we used the funding to meet the needs of our most vulnerable families, and we did it together, and we did it well, and we have our documentation to support everything was allowable, and so that's the story that we want to be able to tell. Please focus on the next 30 days. You've done a great job, but we just need a little bit more of a push to get us across the finish line. Thank you who was clapping, because and we don't want another another pandemic, but we want Congress, we want leadership to see that if you call community action to the table, they can make a difference. $1 billion is a lot of money for CAAs and the Community Action Network, and we just want to demonstrate that we can use the funding to make a difference. I probably could say a whole lot more, but I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say I'll see you on Friday. I'm going to say we have more to share on Friday, but I want to thank you for being here today. And as I said in my beginning, or my starting comments, if anyone could see the picture and the power in this room and people who are concerned about others, they would be impressed just like I am. Thank you and enjoy the conference.
Friday, OCS update. You'll hear a lot more. There's also a few sessions during the course of the week. Encourage you to, and Verna Best is here as well, I believe, from OCS. Verna, it's great to have you back in Community Action. Anna Garcia, I understand there's something like $3 billion of weatherization coming our way? And a few other things. So there might be a few things to talk about this week. And I know we have a couple of sessions directly with DOE. And so, Anna, thank you so much for being with us here this morning. I will say the clock is ticking, but, you know, we so appreciate you, and you're always such a great partner to join us in person, so thank you.
Okay. Good morning. I know I'm standing between you and your break, so I'm going to try and be really brief, but I really am so happy to be here with you today in New York City. What a great city, what a great crew of people, and great energy coming from you all. And I want to thank Denise, Meg Powers, Amy English, the whole CAP team for getting us together to have these kinds of conversations on a regular basis. They work hard, and it always pays off. Also want to thank my staff, Erica Byrne from my team, as well as the entire WAP family right over here at this table, and all the folks back in DC, for their hard work and commitment to making energy more affordable for families out there. Earlier this year, you may also have heard that we began a realignment at DOE. This is an exciting move for us. We'll now be working in the Office of Infrastructure as part of the Office of State and Community Energy Programs, and this will elevate our programs to the level of a departmental element. So we will be on par with the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. That's who we're still with now, but we'll be moving to this office in the next weeks or month. As you may know, the work of the Weatherization Assistance Program is grounded in statute and regulations, so while the organization may need to adjust, our purpose will remain the same. We are continuing to, while we do these logistical adjustments, and getting incredible support from our Secretary Granholm and others in our leadership, we're just trying to keep things moving and on track. So our WAP FY22 formula applications are continuing to move forward. April 1 grants are fully executed with unconditional awards, and the July 1 awards have been moving a little more slowly, but we think we're going to get those through pretty quickly in the next few days to weeks. So while we're reviewing these formula applications, as Denise said, we're moving out over $3 billion in weatherization assistance funding from the bipartisan infrastructure law. And we've just gotten out a requisition for 15% of the funding, so that should be moving through our financial assistance office for approval. And I thank everybody for their tireless efforts in doing this, including Erica and her team and everybody out there who's going to be working this funding throughout the communities in our country. We're working hard to hire more staff, navigate through this tough transition, assign priority tasks, and keep the funds going. So in that vein, we're going to continue working on our priorities, continuing our successes. In the coming months, the administration will be looking closely at our program and tracking our progress, and we'll just keep moving toward the excellence of service that we always provide through your efforts. For our executive directors with us today, I want to outline a few things that are in the coming months for your day-to-day operations. First, we're looking at streamlining client intake. So I mentioned when we spoke earlier this year, we see tremendous promise by continuing to enhance these client intake tools. In December, we issued WPN 22-5 to expand the eligibility to allow WAP to accept any clients that are deemed eligible for HUD's means-tested programs. These varying eligibility requirements have been a real problem for us for a long time. And so with the permission of Secretary Granholm, WAP can now serve HUD's verified clients by including that method of verification in the client file. And we are also currently in discussions with USDA to look for opportunities for the same kind of streamlined intake. Next, we're focusing on stabilizing measure costs and installations. So here we've been working on what we believe will be of great benefit to you all, an optional published and regional priority list for our network with the approval of DOE's General Counsel. So on July 1st of this year, we recognized we needed more stabilized priority lists in agency could help combat these fluctuating prices that are occurring due to supply chain issues. So our aim, as you know, is to provide whole comprehensive weatherization services in a household. And you all know better than anyone that our clients, these households, should not be penalized because their turn to be weatherized coincides with these issues. So I just want to acknowledge all the anguish that you all go through when you go into a house and you cannot install measures because they don't pencil out due to cost. So we think these tools will be really helpful in that regard. Another area I just want to make you aware of is our tools to onboard new technical staff. We know it's workforce development, and getting workforce on board is really hard. So not only will our regional priority lists give you this tool to support measure selection, but we've been working to ensure local agencies know about the 2019 badging toolkit, which consists of 25 badges, each representing a different energy efficiency task that an installer could perform in a home. So we think this is a tremendous tool to assist in bringing our workers to an expected level of competency. The badges provide consistent approaches to training by ensuring installers in different regions are learning the same skills nationwide. And organizations can customize these toolkits by choosing only the badges that are relevant for your program. We're also putting out a series of weatherization job aids that have been in the works for the last year. These are step-by-step visual guides to assist home energy professionals with effective, durable, and safe energy efficiency approaches. And these involve an easy-to-use checklist to verify installation quality or support skill development. I think you're going to hear a little bit about Justice 40 in our sessions this week. You've heard about it from other speakers. So important. Early this month, I participated in a webinar with Secretary Granholm, Shalonda Baker, and other DOE program leads on this topic. I really want you to think about attending those sessions this week so you can learn about and take advantage of this historic opportunity. I want to just very quickly talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. As I said, about $9 billion coming in the form of tax incentives and rebates. A lot of it in the area of home energy efficiency, including money for heating and air conditioning pumps, efficient water heating pumps, improved insulation. All of these need to be coordinated with the Weatherization Assistance Program so they can help us in doing deeper retrofits in our homes. So this is a tremendous time for us. I just want to wrap up by saying it's very exciting to be in weatherization these days, not only because of the great money that's going through our doors, but also through the innovation, because of the innovation we're trying to implement. We're not the program we were at our inception in 1976, nor are we the program that we were when the Recovery Act was passed 13 years ago. We have many more tools, worker certification, field guides, and standards. We know where we did well in the past, and we know where we can improve in the future to set this program up for even greater success. It's my privilege to work alongside you and our staff as we write this next chapter in the history of weatherization. Again, I'm thrilled to be here, and I wish you great luck in your endeavors in the future and hope to have conversations with you here and in the future about more we can do to improve. Thank you.
I love it when you can lean on your friends and say, ah. So thank you. But page 36 is your weatherization track. DOE has been very generous with their time, and they have a number of team members here who will be there to do a lot of good Q&A, so I encourage you to attend that session. All right, so we're going to take a break, right? We're going to need to stretch, but there's a lot of you, and those are our little doors, so you got to get out and you got to get back, because our keynoter, Rashad Robinson from The Color of Change, is here. He's mic'd up, and he is ready to go, and he will give you inspiration, momentum, and just so much encouragement for the work you do. So get out and come back. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. Thanks, everybody.